So now I'm back. I'm actually pretty set to do this episode. This is like my third time trying throughout the day. I hope that you'll be able to tune in and join me. For those of you who are up late, wherever you may be, and I just need to make sure that people can hear me as I go through and double check on some things. Um, I've been really trying to get this off tonight. So let's see where we're at. As we begin, I want to welcome everybody aboard and hope, as always, that you'll be able to definitely get something out of tonight's episode. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Please, if you're going to hit the thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me. So I'm going to wait a little while longer so others can gather in. Those who are up late, wherever you may be, big shout out to my brothers over in Africa right now. Definitely had a great conversation with you. Love the conversation, and hopefully one day soon I can be having you on. So with that being said, we're gonna get right into today's episode, dealing with Freemasonry and the ancestors. So if you can hear me, and for those of you who are on, I need to know that you can hear me one way or the other as we begin to get right on in here tonight. Let's see if I can go back. I need to definitely work on this here real quick and see where this is going to take me. So you may hear a little background noise. You may hear a little background noise. That's quite all right. I'm just trying to get a feel for what's happening here tonight. As we get into Freemasonry and the ancestors, I think that for the most part, you would definitely enjoy the conversation. I definitely want you to be able to get something out of it. It's going to be meaningful, and beautiful. It's great to be able to connect with the ancestors as far as Freemasonry is concerned. And let me tell you why that is true. Is because in the confines of Freemasonry, let me turn this all the way down. I can't even get that going. In the confines of Freemasonry, we're going to discover that uh, when you are burning incense in your lodge or in your chapter or in your Royal Arch degrees, that is a summons to the ancestors. That is a summons of sweet smelling perfumes per se. If you know anything about the Old Testaments and what was happening at that time, you then will know that it is considered to be, especially when you're dealing with the ancients and when you're dealing with man, don't it just make you upset when things don't want to go that way, the way you want it to go? I'll tell you, there you go. It really brings things into a different perspective when you understand why you're lighting incense and doing the things that you're doing in your chapter, in your not only in your chapter but in your lodge. So we're gonna get right into that. I'm just waiting for more folks to kind of tune in and see where we're going with this. And as I said, I'm hoping that you will be able to hear me at this time because I was definitely having some technical difficulties earlier, and I can't tell exactly what's been going on with my videos, but I should be able to get right in here real quick, like, and be able to listen and to go from there. So, with that being said, I hope. Let me see. There you go. Okay, I got some sound, and that's a good thing. So we're gonna get right into this episode. So what I'm talking about tonight is Freemasonry and Ancestors. I was just trying to make sure that my technical difficulties was well worked out so we can really get in and have this conversation. So please join us tonight as we move forward. And some of you may be clicking on and clicking off, thinking that this is not the right video, but yes, I am live tonight. And yes, it is late wherever you may be at. So let's get right into this and see what we're about tonight. So when you are entering your lodge, and the process is the opening of your lodge, we're going to discover that in most cases, most lodges light incense. They burn sage. And you're going to be probably asking yourself why. First of all, you need to understand why is incense used in ancient customs. Why are sage used in ancient customs? And when you're able to bring that into your lodge or even into your chapter meetings, then you understand that you're opening up a different paradigm. You're opening up something differently than your average opening for your lodge or your chapter. When you're able to do that, then you're able to see the fragrance and the beauty of what it is. I would say in most female lodges, and especially the one I've gone to see their opening ceremonies for their installation, they burn incense. They burn sage. That was a purification in the opening ceremony for their lodge. And the same should be done within your own lodge, because when you're able to do that, you're opening up uh, such the spiritual aspect of the Masonic order, which I feel have been lost. It has been lost because we no longer practice that side of Freemasonry. We no longer practice the side of Freemasonry that brings in a serious spirituality to what we are practicing. Freemasonry, as we know, we like to call it a fraternity. It is not a fraternity. Freemasonry is a society. If you read anything within your Masonic rituals, it says harmony being the strength of all societies. It does not say fraternity. We have called it that because it is based upon men. But if you really look at the true essence of Freemasonry and what it's really all about, then you're going to understand that Freemasonry has this insert of women who have been around for a very long time, but we have refused to acknowledge females as Masons as long as they have been around. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you have gone through a transition and removes a part of Freemason which was there in the beginning, you miss something. You miss something, and Freemasonry is missing something. They are really missing a spiritual aspect of it, because now when you go to open your lodge, it is very dull. There is no excitement to opening a Masonic lodge anymore, because there are some things that have been removed. And when I say those things, you probably wondering, Brother Hawkins, Tony Muhammad, what do you mean things have been removed? I say this is that in the customs of Freemasons, before the arrangement of what we know today as modern Freemasons, there was a spiritual aspect to Freemasonry. Okay, there was at one time and still is in some Masonic circles a spiritual aspect to it. So when they opened up the lodge, you had the burning of sage, you had the burning of incense, you had the prayer and the offering. There was something to it. Now in most lodges, most chapters, you just go in and just open up. There is no spiritualness to it. In most black lodges, yeah, you sing a Christian song, you sing a gospel song, but that's all you do. There's nothing else there. This is why tonight we're talking about the ancestors and what does that bring into the Masonic order. How does that mix? What do you mean when you're talking about the ancestors? What does all of that compensate? Well, I would say this: in my own experience, in my visitation with other Masonic lodges, I find, as I've said before, that they have more of a spiritual aspect to them. It looks more like them. It feels more like what they are. Today, when I visit Chicano Park here in San Diego, I was there at the park and I saw a lot of altars at the park. And as I began to speak with the various people in the park, I learned that it was an ancestry thing. See, we no longer have what you call contact with our ancestors. Most of us are afraid because we are told that they're spooky, they're scary. You know, your ancestors are those who actually watch over you. They are your angels. Who back do you think you stand on? Who prayers are carrying you through right now? Your mother prayers, your father prayers, your sisters, your aunts, those who love you, who have prayed for you, who have gone before you, you are now benefiting from their prayers. Okay, it means something. So when you open up your lodge, when you have that chapter meeting, you are burning the incense, and you have the stage. It adds more fragrance, it adds more spirituality to what you are now beginning to do. There's a book called The Keys of King Solomon. And in this particular book, King Solomon summons the various demons to do the will, to do his beckoning, his will, in building the temple. What I found is that he had that power to summon them. Not saying that they had anything great as far as ancestry, but I'm saying it was the summons. So when you are that indirect with your ancestors, you can summon them, just as King Solomon summons those demons in the building of King Solomon's temple. When you read the book, the keys of King Solomon, it brings a different avenue to it. So tonight, as we get into this conversation, you're going to see for yourself when you go back and endeavor and see that there's actually something missing from your opening ceremonies. There's no more spirituality to it. Most of your lodge meetings are boring. Let's just be honest. It's boring because it's missing that very aspect of what you're supposed to bring to you. If you tell me you are in search of knowledge and light and illumination, what does that look like? What does being enlightened, being illuminated, having knowledge, what does it look like? Does it look like something you're supposed to be able to just sit low and not gleam out, not have a fire about it? Your lodge meetings are not supposed to be a boring place. They're supposed to be, and including your chapter meetings, they're supposed to be a place where you go to become enlightened. Information is shared. It's supposed to be spiritual. It's supposed to be uplifting. There's that place you go, that sanctuary you enter. Okay, your lodge is that place. All right, it is that temple, that building. They say what the Masons used to meet, on a starry recovery deck. Why so a starry recovery deck? Because when you look up, you see something greater than you. Okay? When you look up, you see something greater than you. You see something that are millions of miles away, something that looks so close that you can reach out and touch, but you can't. That's the beauty about masonry. It opens up doors that you'll be like, wow, really? That is so interesting. But what we do with masonry now, we have watered it down. It is so tapered. It is just so, it doesn't have that So people aren't knocking down your door to become enlightened anymore. As a Mason, as an Eastern Star, we're supposed to be there illuminating society. Not just a sorority or fraternity, but a society. That is what separates you, because it says society being the strength, being the harmony and strength of all society, more especially of ours. Why is that so deep to us? Why does that mean so much to us when you say more especially of ours? This is not a Greek thing where you go and pledge and you come back, now I'm this and I'm that. Fraternity pledge. When you become a Freemason or a sister of the Order of the Eastern Star, you are part of the society. Even in the obligation of the Eastern Star, it mentions to you that you are now becoming part of a society. When you look up the word society, it means becoming part of something that is bigger than you, something that is organized, something that is structured, something that gives you a place of being. That's what society does. Like they'll tell you he's an outcast. That means that he's not part of the society because he's an outcast. Society means something. But we have taken this thing of the Mason and the Eastern Star and flipped it. The juice that it once has, in some circles, it doesn't carry that juice anymore because most of us has drunk the Kool-Aid. And now understanding that in the process, of doing what you do as a Mason, as an Eastern Star, you've totally missed it. So therefore, if you don't get the understanding of the true essence of what Freemasonry is, greetings, everybody who's coming in. I know it's late, especially on the West Coast. We are like 12, 11, and I got to get up and go to work in a little while, but this, I've been trying to get together for most of the day. This is what I've been trying to bring out. The ancestors, when I talk about the ancestors in Freemasonry, I'm clearly talking about the burning of the incense in the stage, as we're supposed to have that happening in our lives. You really do. But because of the way we practice that the European style of Freemason, you don't get that spiritual essence in Freemasonry. You don't. You can't tell me you do. I've gone to some of your lodge meetings and it's boring. It's dead. There's no life in it because you're doing the same old thing that you was taught to do from 100 years ago, not understanding that in the process of Freemasonry, you're entering a spiritual thing. You look at your initiation and what it really means. That initiation tells you that you're not supposed to bring anything into that lodge. You know exactly what I'm saying. I don't have to tell you what you're supposed to bring or not bring. But if you are a Mason, you understand exactly what I'm talking about, that you are divested of. And that is a spiritual thing that is taking place. This is why you need the burning of the incense in the blessings of the stage. It says before Masons do anything, you are supposed to invoke the blessings of deity. How do you invoke the blessings of deity? It's more than just offering a simple prayer. It's more than that. Most of us don't know that because we're just doing the same old thing we've always been doing in show. So you do a repetitious thing without understanding that something is missing. And the thing is missing is understanding the spirituality for which Masons supposed to interact with the ancestors. You're supposed to have that interaction. And you're supposed to have that candle that lights your way. You have the burning taper. You have the volume of sacred law. You have the compass and square. Those things are supposed to be your rule and guide, the ones that brings you that 306 degrees, not only 33, but a complete circle. You have those two polars, one in the north and one in the south. Your senior deacon and your junior deacon. What does that really mean? Those two polars, those two hemispheres. You have the feminine energy and your masculinity energy. But when you don't understand the spirituality that's supposed to come with it, this is what you get. You get all masculinity and no feminism. You get no energy in there. Your energy is so dead until your memories just fall away, and you're wondering why a brother don't want to come to your lodge meetings. You know, you're wondering, well, what are we doing that they don't want to come? You're not giving them anything, nothing that they can go and get off the internet. If a brother can read it, get it out of the internet, get it off a ritual that he ordered or she gets, why do they need you? Why? And this is what you have to start looking at. What is it that we can do to bring in that beauty of the society for which we say it is? We say it's a beautiful organization. We talk about how glorious it is. We throw out all the great lingo. But when a person becomes a Mason, when a person becomes an Eastern Star, they get none of that. They get it because you never had it. So when they come to your lodge meeting, you have nothing more to offer than a boring opening, and you're talking about fundraisers and things like that. You don't talk about how can I enhance that brother's spirituality? How can I raise his lower chakra up? How can I teach him how to meditate? Those are the things that you need to be examining a brother on. The Q&A is great. The Q&A is the basic fundamentals of language between two Masons. Are you a Mason? I am. Well, that's a great Q&A thing. That's good. But I'm talking about that little edge that your lodge needs, that little edge that your chapter needs to keep having that brother to come back and like, wow, I can't wait till my next lodge meeting. That's what you need for that brother. That's what you need for that sister. I can't wait till my next chapter meeting. I'm on the fifth point. What does that fifth point really mean? Okay? How can I break down that sister in that degree? Her password. What does this first point really mean? But you don't get that in the order of the Eastern Star. You get that boring opening. So you go through the points. But what does that mean to you? What does those colors mean to you? How is the compass and the square hidden within the star? Has anybody told you that? Have anybody broke down those 5 points and what they mean on the Mason side, on the Eastern Star side? Because they mean something. How do you greet a sister? You know, you're not a star, brother, but how do you greet a sister? How do the sister identify you as being a Mason? Because we don't have those interactions as we should, because it's on a higher plane. And most of you don't never get there because you're trying to cut someone else down. You can't cut someone else down when you're trying to raise your volume up. Your my brother has a word for that, and I can't think of it. Your kunalindi. I'm jacking the word up. But when you're trying to raise that up, you can't do that, you know? And this is what we're missing. Exactly what we're missing. So when you get there and you understand in your lodge meeting, the understanding of having a spirituality to it, having that little bit, that tangible asset to it that nobody else can offer. That sets your lodge apart, your jurisdiction apart from anybody else. I guarantee you that. You're going to want to come back for more. Kudalende. Did I say that right? But yeah, I'm close. But yeah, you're right, brother. It raises up it raises the frequency up. And you operate on a frequency, brothers and sisters. This temple, this body operates on frequencies. I'm only going to have it for a certain length of time, and then it's going to poof, be gone. But the frequency stays, it lives on. The energy that's in this thing continues to move forward. This is why I say most of us, if you understand about the prayers of your mothers and your fathers and your aunts who have gone on before you, that's what you're living on. That's how you're being blessed through their prayers. Okay? Now, what you going to do with that? How are you going to give thanks to your ancestors, brothers of the craft, sisters of the order? How are you going to do that? Where you don't even know how to contact them, where you don't know how to meditate, where you don't know how to raise your frequency up. You have the very tools at your fingertips and don't know how to use them. That is the sad part. You have these tools at your fingertips and you don't know how to use them because nobody has taught you the true essence of how to use them. You no longer light incense and frankincense and stage in your lodge meeting because you find that there's no use for them. There's plenty of use for them. As I said before, it goes back to the beginning. What about it? Before you do anything in your chapter, in your lodge, you always offer a blessings to deity. And how do you do that, Brother Tony? How do you offer blessings to deity? You do that by first lighting incense, second stage, blessing the very place where you are having your meetings at. That place needs to be cleansed. Wherever you're at, it needs to be cleansed. Incense needs to be flowing. That's how you offer it up. And then when you have that prayer during your opening ceremonies, it's supposed to be given not only to the grand architect and the creator of the universe in heaven, but to the ancestors. Because they are truly your angels. So you think You think angels coming down with wings? That's your thought. See, you don't understand your bloodline. That's a whole nother story. I just threw that in so you could think for a moment. You don't understand your bloodline. You don't understand who you are. So therefore, you're looking for angels to come down with wings. Understand who you are, brothers of the craft, sisters of the order. Understand your bloodline, your direct ascendants to those who have gone before you, who plead on your behalf. See, the words I speak, I want them to go out, and I don't want them to come back voided. So I speak with authority. Anything I want in life, I speak it into existence through manifestation. Because I believe it, because I place something on it. I speak as if I own it, if I have it. And when you're not able to do that, and Freemasonry definitely, where I'm at, teaches you that. When you're not able to do that, then some of you go liking, oh man, forget that. He's talking a bunch of, no, that's because you haven't been taught. You haven't been taught these things. So therefore, it doesn't happen. But if you've been taught these very things, if you can put something on it, it can happen. Most of you don't have an altar because you're too scared. You're afraid. So you don't have an altar dedicated to your great-grandmothers and grandfathers and those who have gone before you, who now resides in the spiritual realm. They're waiting on you to tell them what you want in your life. But you're too afraid to even summons them. Well, how do you summons your ancestors, Brother Tony? Tony Muhammad, how do you do that? How do you summons your ancestors? You summons your ancestors through prayer. Just like I'm talking to you, you talk to them the same way. You give offerings to them. You burn incense and sage. That's how you summons your ancestors. But you do it with a sincere, and you do it with a sincere heart. You don't do it with a malice. You do it with a sincere heart. And trust me, they're going to respond to you. They are going to do that. You can't be afraid to summons your mother if she's gone. You can't be afraid to summons your father if he's gone. Your uncles, your nieces, your nephews. You can't be afraid. But most of us are. You call on Jesus like if you met Jesus before. You have never seen this guy they call Jesus, but you call on him all the time. You know your mother. You've seen your mother, your uncles, your nieces, your nephews. You've seen them, but now they're gone. You're afraid? How dare you? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And this is the uniqueness that we're missing in Freemasonry. I didn't get here overnight. Let's have an understanding. First of all, where I'm at right now, it's a gradual thing. I didn't always come at a brother this way. I was one of those brothers when I first kicked this thing off as a Mason some 30 years ago. I picked up books and I would read about Osiris and Isis and things like that. And it was pretty exciting. But the old heads told me, oh, no, don't worry about that. That's because they didn't know. They didn't know. But now, where I'm at right now, that's where I want you to be, brothers of the craft, sisters of the order. I want you to be able to say, okay, how can I really get all I want to out of Freemasonry beyond the mere boredom of going to a lodge meeting dressed up in a black suit, a white shirt with a black bow tie on, nice, clean, white, blue apron, whatever your apron color may be, white gloves on. What does this all mean? Well, check this out. If you are black and you are Baptist and you go to First Sunday church, if you notice anything about the deacons in your church on the first Sunday, when I grew up, they used to have white gloves on when they served you communion on Sunday. That means something. White gloves means purity. Your white lambskin apron means purity. It's supposed to be more ancient than anything a potentate or a king can bestow upon you. It is more ancient than the Roman fleets of Rome. Okay? Is that something like that? Something like that. Follow me if you will. just for a few minutes and understand the white glove, the white lambskin apron. It means something. You just don't throw it on just to say you're here. This is why we need to reshape our thoughts about Freemasonry being a fraternity and look at it as being a society. Because nowhere in your Masonic ritual, and I would say nowhere in my particular Masonic ritual, does it say Freemasonry is a fraternity. It doesn't say any of that. It doesn't say nowhere in my ritual in regards to the ancestors. But what I do know is that when I light incense and I bring in fragrances into my lodge, I do know that it is considered an offering. I do know that that is considered a blessing, something sweet to the smell of the Creator. Go back and read the Old Testament about what those high priests used to do when they walked into the tent and when it was set up in the desert. They had to make sure that they was pure. So they took in incense and they had the chains and the bells around them, because if there wasn't a righteous person that walked in, they would drop dead at a dime and they had to pull them out. So they walked in with the incense, prayed, okay? That was the summons of the sweet smell that God would smell, the Creator would smell. That's why they did that. And this is why that is so important to the Masonic order and the Eastern Star. It is beyond the mere foreplay that we give it. You know, hey, I'm going to the Eastern Star meeting. I got my white dress on. You know, I got my little earrings on. You know, you got your sash on. You got your fez on and the golden tassels hanging down. You got all of that on. But what does it really mean, sisters? Brothers, you are dressed to a T, but what does it really mean? Why do you wear a black suit, a white shirt, a black bow tie, black shoes? Why? That is the gentleman's look. You're going about your business. You have a briefcase. So you're going to take care of some things. You're dressed as a distinguished gentleman. You're not just anybody. This is why Masons wore the suits to their lodge meetings. They was distinguished gentlemen of the society. This is why high-profile people back in the day joined Freemasonry. This is the whole reason why. It meant something to be a Mason in the society of yesterday. You know, it really did. But now those times seems to be shifting, you know. But we need to understand why we did something and why we're not doing them now. Why was it such a secret when Masons went to their meetings? We want to be out in the public now. But it meant something. People came to the Freemasons to be enlightened. They don't need that anymore. You can Google everything now. This is why everything that you do in your life shouldn't necessarily be in a ritual. Hear me clearly. This is why everything that you do in a lodge should not be in a ritual. This is why in my jurisdiction, our opening ceremonies you won't find in any ritual. And that's the beauty. That's what keeps brothers coming back. It is not just your ordinary opening. So when you do that, it gives them that little extra, yeah, this is why I'm here. Ask a brother in your lodge or your chapter, why are you a Mason? Why are you an Eastern Star? Why are you here? What do you come here to do? To learn and subdue my passion? What is that passion that you're trying to learn how to subdue? Your ego is your passion. Whenever somebody flare up, you want to knock them out. Your passion. What is your passion? What is that thing in you that gets you in trouble all the time that you're so damn passionate about? To learn and subdue it. They didn't say get rid of it, to subdue it. And this is the thing we have to start looking at. Those rituals are there for more than just your opening and closing ceremony. You got to look more deeper into it. You really do. And so, as the brother said, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Tap into that ancestry power. Absolutely. Absolutely. But when you're able to do that and you understand that, brothers of the craft, sisters of the order, it is just so different. It is a very beautiful thing. It is beautiful when you're able to go into a ritualistic ceremony, understanding the blessings and calling upon the ancestors and actually having them to do things for you in this world. Man, how fascinating is that? We're the only culture that I know of that are very spiritual, but yet you're afraid to call upon your ancestors. If I'm lying, tell me I'm lying in this chat. We are the only group of people that I know of who are very highly spiritual, sing some hell of a spiritual song, can sing our butt off, but you're afraid of calling on your ancestors. Tell me why. I'll wait. And I tell you this here. The only time people just pay attention to your older people around you. When they get older and they're getting ready to leave this place, they go to calling on their cousins and their mothers and their fathers who are gone. Pay attention. Hear me clearly. When your mothers and fathers are of age and they're getting ready to leave here, you hear them call on those who are no longer here. You will hear them call their names and talk to them as if they are here. Pay attention to them. They let you know I'm getting ready to check out of here. May not be today, but I'm getting ready to leave this joint. Pay attention. Most of us won't do it. Too afraid, too scared, thinking you're talking about somebody putting some hex on you or some voodoo on you. Look at those things, voodoo. Those are the things that we used to practice long ago. But here in North America, those things are lost because we was told not to practice the very thing that we once was accustomed to practicing. Told us not to. So we didn't. So we practiced those things that was given to us and said, you do this. This is why we won't call upon the ancestors. We don't demand anything of the Creator because we was told that you shouldn't question the Creator. We was told that you don't question God. What? I don't question God. Why? I need to know. I need to know why my mom left so soon. I need to hear God tell me that. I need to know, why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? What is it that I need to do to change, to flip the script? I need to go a different direction. I need someone to point me in that direction. And if you are too afraid to call on the Creator and the ancestors to help you go in the direction for which you desire to go in, then you're going to always be afraid. You're never going to go in the direction for which you are supposed to go in. Most of us don't know our purpose. And the reason you don't know your purpose is because you never asked, what is my purpose, God? The Creator, what is my purpose? You don't ask, you don't know. So you go to dead-end jobs. You may be making, I need to slow down a little bit, a whole lot of money. Great. You may have the big house and a great car. But you know what? You're missing something in life. Got a story to tell you. Won't hold you long, just for a minute, just to get you to think. There was a guy who was having a house built. Beautiful $1 million home. He hired those who can do the work to build the house, right? The home is going to be over $1 million. This is a big, beautiful home, $1 million home, right? So he goes to his home to see how the work is coming along. So when he gets there, he sees the individual he hired to do the work singing, having a great time. He's wondering, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be building my home. Well, they're only making $20 an hour. But they are so happy making that $20 an hour. The fellowship that they have in building this man's home with this worth over $1 million. He couldn't figure it out. The mere fact of them being satisfied with a job that they love and that they're doing, and they're building your $1 million home, and you come in and you're pissed off. Why are you so mad and you're wealthy and they're having a great day building this home? Something is missing. Something is missing. So this guy who was a millionaire having this big house built had to ask himself the very question, what's missing? What is it that they have that I don't have? I have the money, the house, the car. I have it all. I can go any place I want to. Don't have to pay for anything. And these guys are making $20 an hour building this beautiful home for me, but they're happy. Ask yourself, what's your contact look like? Are you able to contact and communicate with those who have gone before you? And how does this play into my life as a Freemason? One who's supposed to be enlightened, one who's supposed to be illuminating to those who don't have light. That's why people come to the lodge. That's why they should come to your chapter meeting, is to be illuminated. You're supposed to have something or share with them something that they don't have. But if they come and it's boring and they are not getting anything, they could have read it, they could have ran parties, they could have done any of that. They didn't need you to do this. Huh. What? I've seen rich Caucasian women who are married fly into Jamaica for sex and affection. That is true. But that's true. They did a series on that, brother. They did. Ancestors are fake. They're only fake because you don't understand it. You know, ancestors are fake. Yeah, Freemasons are fake too. That's because you don't understand it. So anything you don't understand, you call it fake, bogus, you call it clandestine, you call it all other sorts of names without actually going into it. You do. There are so many different rights in society, in different societies that are out there. You wouldn't believe it. Most of you only know about Freemasonry because that's what you are a part of. Most of you know about the primitive rites because it was introduced to the Black community Freemasons no more than about maybe less than 10 years ago. But the white Masons call it the college. They don't call it primitive rites, although that's what it is. But they call it the College of Freemasonry. You can look it up on their website. They have it. They've always had it. But now you got it. You call it primitive rites, which is the correct structure for it. They call it the College of Masonry. It's always been there. This is why it's important to understand that Freemasonry is not a fraternity. It is a society. This is why you are part of Freemasonry through your jurisdiction. But when you're not in session, when you're not in lodge meeting, you are part of a society. But most of you are waiting to be recognized. You're waiting for something to happen, not understanding that it has already happened. If somebody going to accept you as a Mason, they will with you, period. They will do that with you. You don't need them. You don't need a lodge or a jurisdiction to say you are recognized. You don't need that. You are already part of the society, period. It's truth. Go back and research the stuff for yourself and look for yourself and stop looking at the current of things. Look up under it. Pull back the curtain. Man, you pull back the curtain on some of this stuff, something you wouldn't want to be a Mason. That's true. You'd be like, damn, really? You know? In Freemasonry, and I'm gonna get ready to go, but in Freemasonry, you are supposed to be raising your consciousness of God. You are. It's the truth. You know, that's the thing that gets me a lot of times. Most of us don't know how to do that. How do you raise your consciousness of God? How do you raise that energy up? You do it through meditation. Christ, the man, told you himself, meditate on these things that are good. He told you, you know. But we can go so many different places with this conversation tonight. But basically, I wanted you to understand the concept and construct of Freemasonry and the ancestors. How does that coincide? You bring in your incense and your fragrance, and you burn your sage. You light your candles. You have an altar there. You know, you're going from darkness to light. I'm just saying, you're coming from a place of darkness into light. And when that sister and brother come into that lodge or that chapter, they're there to be illuminated. But if you can't illuminate them because you don't know, then I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about your lodge or your chapter. I don't. It's the chapter and lodges are there for a particular reason. They are. And the color schemes of the stars there for a particular reason. It is. The 5 points that they hold are there for a particular reason. Isn't it, brothers? Doesn't that 5 point mean something to us? Mean something to the sisters? I'm just saying. Look at what it is. A lot of the things that are within the order of the Eastern Star in the society of Freemasonry come together like that. I'm just saying, it does. So look, all of us suffer activity, charcoal, apple cider to open the panel. Oh, really? I'm going to have to do that. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. So look, it's early in the morning. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate you. And you know, hey, we have to look. Oh man, it's so much. I mean, so many places I can go with this thing until it just off. I can keep going and going all night. But I'm gonna go. And for those of you who are gonna watch this video later on, hit me up if you got my number, and we can have this conversation. But your lodge meetings, your chapter meetings, need to have something more than just that opening ceremonies that you give everybody that they can actually go get a ritual and read it for themselves, and boom. This is why in this jurisdiction we do things a little bit differently, because we want brothers of the craft to have an experience that they can't get nowhere else. That's the truth. So look, I'm out. I hope that you've enjoyed the conversation that I've had. I've enjoyed reading the information in the chat. Kundalini. Kundalini. I got it. So look, enjoy your evening wherever you're at. Be blessed. And to my brothers over in the motherland, Africa, I said thank you for joining us. And to the brothers over in the UK, Mystic Lodge 619, thank you. And to the brothers over in the Trinidad, United as One Lodge over in Trinidad, well, United as One. The lodge is number 13, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate each of you. And to all the brothers of the craft and sisters of the order, whatever you do, keep your light on, stay out the bushes. Until we meet each other again, peace and blessings. I'm out.